Hey, what's up, ghouls and gals? Today's video, we are beginning the best horrors of 2024. I would say my best horrors of 2024, because I feel like everybody's lists are gonna be completely different. Some of my picks may be a little unexpected, and that's why there are so many movies on this list. 2024 for me was such a great year for horror movies. These lists are a great display of how the year goes. I want to say last year I had more movies on my worst horror list than I did this year. This year I only had 10 that I actually wanted to talk about. But this year I have almost 30 movies that I need to just gush over how much I loved them. This video could get a little chaotic, I'm just gonna warn you now. And I also asked on my community tab whether you'd like to see this all in one video or split up into two, and split up into two videos was the majority vote. So this is part one, and in today's video we are going from number 28, because there's 28 actual movies on this list, not 30. Almost 30, but we are going from 28 to 11, and the next video will be our top 10 of the year. And I know what you're probably thinking, Ashley, why didn't you just put this in your honorable mentions? Because these are not just honorable mentions. These were movies that stuck with me, that changed my mind about horror, that really just made the year so wonderfully spooky. So without too much more, let's begin my best horror movies of the year list. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more, check out all of my links down below if you would like to see any more of me or support the channel any further. With these videos, we're going to have a few things I want to add. Firstly, I'm going to let you know where you can stream, rent, or buy these films. I'm gonna let you know how long they are in case you haven't seen them, because I feel like movie length determines, like, when you have like a mood for something, sometimes you only want a movie under 70 minutes, under 80 minutes, and sometimes you want that 2-hour epic. So I'm going to let you know how long these are. And lastly, for the sake of time, I'm going to try not to talk too much in depth about all of these. So let's begin with number 28, and a very surprising film in Lowlifes. The survival instincts of a road-tripping family are put to the test when they have no other choice but to stay at a remote homestead for the night. This is a Tubi original, and like I said in my last video, Tubi has become like our second home for horror. There's such a wide variety of horror on Tubi. This is a Tubi original, and it is so good. I don't want to spoil too much, because it's one of those films where in the beginning you might want to turn it off, but the payoff by the end is so fun and so good. And one line that has stuck with me since this movie is released, our main character says something along the lines of, "I would rather eat pussy than eat people," and I think it's just so fantastic. At number 27, we have Humane. In the wake of environmental collapse that has forced humanity to shed 20% of the world's population, a family dinner erupts into chaos when a father's plan to enlist in the government's euthanasia program goes awry. And of course, a Cronenberg is gonna make the best movies of the year list. I think about this movie a lot. This feels like it's not too far off in the future. It feels like a situation that is just maybe a little bit too close. I don't know. I don't want to say like close in the future, because it doesn't feel like it's gonna happen, but it does feel like some sort of close reality. Like the euthanasia it's very realistic, and it felt very human. I'm fitting, the name is Humane, but like it is a very thought-provoking film, and that's why I really enjoyed it, and I do think about it so frequently. At number 26, I have to shout this film out because it is so good. You guys know that I love a film under 80 minutes. Milk and Cereal. A surprise birthday prank takes a turn when a popular social media duo must face the reality of the terrifying aftermath. This was very shocking for me because I didn't expect a short film on YouTube to be such a good and viral sensation in the horror community. Everybody was talking about it for a short period of time, and I hope more people discover this movie, the director's other short, I believe it's called The Chair, and I hope they do more like this because it is short and sweet and really does pack that punch. Okay, at number 25 is another film that I actually put on my Christmas wish list for my parents, and I hope they find it on DVD or Blu-ray for me for Christmas. It is Blink Twice. When a tech billionaire meets a waitress at his fundraising gala, he invites her and a friend to a private island for a dream vacation, but there is something sinister hiding beneath the island's luxe facade. And this movie truly did stick with me in such a way that makes me just appreciate how it was filmed, because by the end, you're just kind of, as a woman, I felt the threat. As things unraveled, as the movie was crafted even, it made you feel like, as a viewer, you were experiencing what the main characters were experiencing, and it is so prevalent as we've learned about different members of higher society, how they treat women, and the stories that have come out. And this felt like a film that truly embodied the horrific nature of humans. And when we watched this film, I didn't want to say anything bad, because my mom is a Channing Tatum stan through and through, but I don't think she'll ever watch this movie. I was almost thinking, hey, if I were Zoe Kravitz and I cast my partner in a role that felt so sick and so threatening but so benign as a person, the way Channing Tatum's character is crafted in this film, he's like, as Shrek would say, an onion. And there's so many layers that you have to pull back, and the horror really does lie deep within the intentions and the things that he wants to achieve and accomplish with this island and these people. And anyways, I said to Alex, there's no way that Zoe Kravitz is going to cast her partner, I believe they were engaged because they're not together anymore, and I'll get to that, but I was like, there's no way that she can cast her partner in this role specifically without maybe feeling some sort of way afterward, after seeing him literally act out what he does and then have to tour as this character for press afterward, or whatever. They are no longer together, and I don't want to say I saw it coming, but I saw it coming because I just feel like his role, he played it too well, where it felt so, like I said, so benign, where he didn't feel that threatening at the beginning, but when you get to the end and you really get that twist of what he's done and what he wanted to do, and it's just oh my god, I don't think I could look at him the same. Anyways, I'm getting too far ahead of myself. I'm not really going to talk about the next one too much because I have already talked about it in a bug horror video, and as promised, it is at 24, Infested. Residents of a rundown French apartment building battle against an army of deadly, rapidly reproducing spiders. And like I've already said, this movie truly made me itchy. We were watching it, and as the movie was progressing, and as more spiders were appearing and more webs and more just bugs everywhere. I just noticed myself itching more and more. But I think that is so effective, where a movie makes you feel or like have some sort of reaction. I just think it's so good. I'm very excited about the next Evil Dead being in the future of this director's hands. Anyways, moving on. At 23, we have Lisa Frankenstein. A misunderstood teenager and a reanimated Victorian corpse embark on a murderous journey together to find love, happiness, and a few missing body parts. This was written by Diablo Cody, who I grew up loving. Like, just Jennifer's Body, like so many so much of my jokes and like personality came from Jennifer's Body growing up. And I don't know, to kind of have her come back around with this, directed by Zelda Williams, Robin Williams' daughter, it was just so fun, and it really did capture the essence of the weird girl. And growing up as a weird girl, it really hit home for me, and I loved it so much. It was a lot of fun, and Catherine Newton has made 2 of these lists, with Abigail in my honorable mentions and Lisa Frankenstein in the best horror movies. So you go, girl. Okay, moving on to number 22, and a film that if you have not seen this one, get a Shudder account if you don't already and check out Mads. A teenager stops off to see his dealer to test out a new drug before heading off for the night of partying. But on the way home, he picks up an injured woman, and the night takes a surreal turn. And this movie is filmed all in one take, and it feels like such a chaotic nightmare. And there are some shots that really do linger and let you feel what the characters are feeling, and you're just experiencing this transformation that's almost zombie-like, going from person to person to person, and it's so visceral. Like, the way it's shot is so like almost Possession 1981 like. It is so good. And if you have not seen it, like, when you watch this movie, turn off all the lights, set some mood lighting, and really just like let yourself get immersed in this one take film. Okay, at 21, I know this is not necessarily horror, but I would argue that it does have horror elements, and I feel like it was very popular in the horror community. So let's talk about Love Lies Bleeding. Reclusive gym manager Lou falls hard for Jackie, an ambitious bodybuilder headed through town to Las Vegas in pursuit of her dream, but their love ignites violence, pulling them deeper into the web of Lou's criminal family. And when I say I developed such a crush on Katie O'Brien after seeing this movie, it did something for me. I love an erotic thriller. Alex and I love erotic thrillers. And this really did bring back the seedy, sexy, sweaty, erotic thriller, almost De Palma-esque, that we really liked. And I thought Kristen Stewart was so cool in this movie. I enjoyed it a lot. Moving on to number 20, and Oddity. Another film that really did have some jump scares that Ashley did not vibe with. After the brutal murder of her twin sister, Darcy goes after those responsible by using haunted items as her tools for revenge. I feel like this didn't necessarily have like scary faces, but the freaking thing she sits across, that wooden thing that sits on the table with its mouth open, like, it just, ugh. The way it like felt like it was living, but it really wasn't. And the way she used it and couldn't see it, like, girl, if you could see what we saw, you would not like it either. I don't know. It was a really cool film where different objects were used to solve a crime, and I thought that was a very interesting and unique aspect. And like I said, some jump scares, like when you're really into a film, like I felt like I was watching it and I was like really into it, and then the jump scares get me and I look over at Alex and he's unfazed, completely unfazed, and At number 19, we have I Saw the TV Glow. A teenager just trying to make it through life in the suburbs is introduced by a classmate to a mysterious late-night TV show. I feel like a lot of people are resonating with the themes of this movie, and I feel like this movie was necessary. Thank you, Jane, for making this incredible film that lets people almost know, like, it's okay to be who you are, and it's okay to feel things, and it's okay to let the TV glow, if you will. And I don't know, I really loved how it was shot. Like, it's the scene where the chalk is on the road and it said, like, it's never too late or whatever it said, like, that really resonated with me. I feel like I started this whole journey on YouTube later in life because of all the bad shit that I had to endure, but I feel like I almost had to endure all that bad shit to get here, and that it's never too late message really resonated with me personally, because I feel like it is never too late, and I'm discovering more and more that I want to do and achieve and accomplish every year. And you can take the themes in this movie and apply them to whatever situation that you are in, and it's not too late. At number 18, there is only one aspect of this film that kept it from being a little bit higher on this list, and we'll kind of talk about that in a second. But let's move into Alien Romulus. While scavenging the deep ends of a derelict space station, a group of young space colonizers come face to face with the most terrifying life form in the universe. And with Fede Alvarez directing this, I knew we would be in good hands. However, there is one specific character in this film, and if you've seen it, you probably know who I'm talking about, who just looks a little uncanny and feels weird, feels like they shouldn't be there. And it's because that person, I believe, is dead, and they just kind of brought him back through whatever technology they used to, like, de-age perhaps, or bring back this character. It felt so out of place. It felt so strange. But I wasn't going to let that deter me from enjoying this film, because I love the Alien franchise. I love the Alien universe. And honestly, Kaylee Spaney carried this movie on her back. She was so good in this movie, and I really enjoyed it for an Alien film. And I really did surprise myself, because I thought this was going to be a little bit higher, but there's so many other incredible films that need to be higher on this list, so let's move on. At number 17, we have a movie that I've already talked about, so I won't go too much in depth, but this is one of the films that really made me change my mind about a franchise, and that is Smile 2. About to embark on a new world tour, global pop star Sky Riley begins experiencing increasingly terrifying and inexplicable events. And I've said it before, I did not like Smile 1 very much. It had its moments, but Kyle Gallner was like the highlight of that one. And where Smile 2 went, while I do think the runtime was a little excessive, it is a longer film. I just think the story of it all, the practical effects, the commitment put into this film was very good, and it really sold the world building that I feel like we're going to get more of. And it was just such a solid film with really good themes, and I felt gaslit the whole time I was watching it, and I was pissed off. And I think that, once again, having that reaction is why it's on the best of the year list. All right, let's move into number 16 and The Devil's Bath. In 1750, Agnes doesn't feel at home in her husband's world. A shocking act seems like the only way to get out. This is based on real-life historical records, and as someone who deals with depression, anxiety in real life, and if you do as well, I feel like this movie is something you will connect with in a way that you won't necessarily realize until after. Perhaps postpartum depression especially, this is a film that just deals with those themes in a time where they were not normalized and how women were dealing with it. And it's so sad that it had to go as far as it did in this. And if you've seen this movie, I don't want to spoil it for you, but I will say there are themes of unaliving a younger demographic, and it's so sad. And it was such a like realistic film, done so well. And I think that you guys need to check it out if you haven't already, but like, just be prepared. It's sad. Okay, moving on to a film we actually just watched last week, so I had to kind of fit it into where I thought it fit in the list. So at number 15, I feel like it's fair, almost being halfway through. Let's talk about Heretic. Two young religious women are drawn into a game of cat and mouse in the house of a strange man. And Sophie Thatcher was so incredible in this film. But Chloe East, upcoming actress, I have not seen her, I don't think, in anything other than this. Really was like, she really sold the role of someone who was really someone who wanted to learn more about her spiritual, like faith and everything. But once these questions were posed to her, she was very much willing to step out of her box to kind of figure things out and where she stood in that. It was just, I don't really want to like spoil any of these movies, so I'm trying to be vague. But the movie was so well done, and so many scenes were so well crafted with this little miniature house that was in the film. How it moved, how Hugh... I've been getting the Hughes mixed up lately. Hugh Grant? Is that who that is? I have to, like, in my head, I have to go Hugh Jackman, Hugh Dancy, Hugh Grant. Like, yeah, I have to, like, go through all the Hughes to, like, see which one it is. Anyway, Hugh Laurie. Anyways, he was just so creepy in this film, but also really sold the role of someone who spends his whole life learning and researching and questioning and luring and, I don't know, exploiting. It's a very twisted tale of cat and mouse, and I loved it. But in the same token though, I also feel like it's such a recent watch for me that I didn't know where to put it on the list, and I do think midway is fair. At number 14, we have Exhuma. The process of excavating an ominous grave unleashes long hidden secrets and dreadful consequences buried underneath. This was a surprise for me, because this is another film that is very long, but when you stick with it, there are some scenes of like rituals and these big elaborate rituals that are going on that are just done so well, and it feels so cool. But it also feels like a buddy cop movie in such a way. I really enjoyed it. This is another one that you just gotta stick with to get that good payoff at the end. But you get some comedic relief, some really good comedic relief. You get really intense sequences and scenes that you are glued to the TV to. And when you get a movie that can balance those themes, and it's not English speaking, it's so much better. We are at the last three for this half of the list. So remember, this is ranked, so we're not even in my top 10 yet. At number 13, we have Strange Darling. Nothing is what it seems when a twisted one-night stand spirals into a serial killer's vicious murder spree. And this is another one where we have the same actor in two films mentioned. This time it's on the best list. Kyle Gallner does make an appearance in Smile 2, and he is in Strange Darling. And when I talk about erotic thrillers with love lies bleeding, I feel like we also got those themes in Strange Darling. It was so good. It was so hot, but also so like my heart was racing because I didn't know who, like, I'm guessing the whole time who's doing what, it's told in such a way where it's non-linear, so you're just, who's doing what the whole time. You're like, who do I feel bad for? And there's such a fun cameo with Barbara Hershey and Ed Begley Jr. It's such a good film, and it's so, another one, so well crafted to just make you think and guess the whole time. At number 12, we have Cuckoo. A 17-year-old girl is forced to move with her family to a resort where things aren't what they seem. And you guys know how I feel about Dan Stevens, and I'm surprised that he made he's in a film that made my best of the year list. I thought Hunter Schafer was absolutely mesmerizing in this film. The way that she carried this entire film and gave us such a range of emotion. I am so happy to see these Euphoria stars really step out of that role and give us so much more just exciting roles. And this one I was waiting for so long, and it really did not disappoint. This is a film that is so interesting and original, and you just kind of have to think, what was the director thinking, or what train of thought led him to this film idea? You know, it's just so unique and very fun watch. Okay, we now are at the last movie on this list. This is another one that I kind of struggled with because I enjoyed it a lot, and I think this is the only prequel that I'm talking about on my best horror list. Correct me if I'm wrong, but The First Omen. A woman starts to question her own faith when she discovers a terrifying conspiracy to bring about the birth of evil incarnate in Rome. I didn't know necessarily what to expect when we were getting two films that almost felt the same, with Immaculate and The First Omen. However, this being so connected to the Omen universe and doing it in such a way where it did feel freaking scary, and so many scenes where, while they were beautiful, they were really unsettling at the same time. This movie was so just chilling is the word I want to use for it. It did have some like scene recreations from the original Omen and does pay like really good homage to that whole series, and it led into what we would get as a series, and it makes it feel almost complete in a way. But it was done where it just, some shots are so beautiful, but oh my god, the end is disgusting, and it stuck with me, and I loved it. I loved how far they went in this film. If you guys have seen it, you would know. But the ending of this for me went where I wish Immaculate would have. Instead, Immaculate was more audio, less visual. The First Omen was visually disgusting as well as audibly disgusting. I guess that is where I'm going to leave you for right now. We do have my top 10 coming after Christmas. I have been struggling on where to rank these films. Like, this is ranked for me in a way of how much I feel like I enjoyed things compared to my top 10. My top 3 right now, I am having such a hard time placing them because they all fit in number 1 for me, and it's so hard. But I do think I know what my favorite horror movie of the year will end up being, and I think you guys can probably guess. But on that note, thank you guys for being with me for this whole year. I hope that you guys are excited to see my top 10 and my last physical media haul of the year. I will just spoil this for you right now. If you guys follow me on Instagram, I got Long Legs, baby, on Blu-ray, and I cannot wait to show you. So I'll see you then. Sayonara, Spooky fam.